Kaixo egunon, vamos a dar paso al último día de los 3 de INNpower Helsinki-Bizkaia, este viaje inverso. En lugar de ir nosotras a Helsinki, viene Helsinki a nosotras, y con estas 3 mujeres referentes que nos van a seguir dando la visión de la estrategia en la incertidumbre. Y hoy tenemos a una artista, facilitadora y coach, una mujer que ha recorrido el mundo con sus proyectos artísticos y que nos trae a Bizkaia una perspectiva muy innovadora y muy transgresora en ese punto intermedio entre lo que ella ha aprendido del mundo del arte y cómo ella lo transfiere a las empresas y a su propia empresa. Good morning, Katriina Haikala. How are you?
Good morning, Mira. I'm really good. Thank you for inviting me to INNpower Helsinki-Bizkaia. I'm really, really proud and happy to be part of this event, which has a great mission. And I feel honored to be talking to you here today. Thank you so much. So huomenta from Finland, from a snowy Helsinki. It's snowing here. I'm sitting in my living room and I see snow falling down in Helsinki. So thank you, Miran, for a short introduction. And I will be giving you a presentation of my work, and I'll be talking to you about courage and how I've been able to transform my projects into virtual ones during COVID-19 pandemic. But also I'll be talking about generally about my work as an artist who has been working with women empowerment for the last 15 years. And like, if I understood correctly, you Miran, also talked about my other careers as a coach and a facilitator. And I'll be also talking about how I've been able to actually combine these two careers or professions as an artist and a coach, and how I've been working with my empowerment work. So let me start presenting, right? Okay, yes. So I'm really happy to be part of this INNpower event. And like I already said, and Miran also said, that I'm an artist, but I'm also a facilitator and a coach. And for the past 15 years, I've been working as an artist who works with women empowerment, but also other socially impactful projects. And my guiding line of my work is a quote by Oscar Wilde, which is that an idea that is not dangerous is not worth being called an idea at all. And the reason why this is the guiding principle of my work is that I believe that every time I feel afraid of something, when I feel that something is a bit dangerous, I feel that it's a place where I have to go, that there is something there in this place that has to be tackled or researched or to be taken a careful look at. Because I feel that if I feel fear, I must not be the only person who is feeling fearful in this moment. So in my work, I always put myself very much in the center of my work, because I feel that I'm the person who is giving courage to other people also to be courageous by my own example. And I feel that fear is always a message from within, that when we feel that there is something frightening, that there is also opportunity for growth, personal growth, but also for the whole society and culture to grow, because a lot of fear comes out of shame. And I feel that shame is something that we always have to be very careful with, that when we feel shameful of ourselves, that's a place where we need to work with ourselves, but also with the environment that maybe shames us for something. And I feel that this is something that is very important for us women to be aware of, that when we are ashamed, that this might be also something that our society wants us to maybe restrict us in a way and make us feel that we are not good enough to do whatever we want to do. So that's why I say that an idea that is not dangerous is not worth being called an idea at all, because every time we do work that is, how would I say, that has is revolutionary, that's something that it is always also a bit dangerous, because there will be a lot of people who disagree with your work. And after saying this, I also want to tell you that then I will be also talking about my work that might be a little bit provocative. So be prepared that there might be something that you, okay, what is this? But you will understand. So don't worry. You will be staying on board with me. I also want to talk to you about a little bit my artist work as what I really do. And I actually want to read to you out loud my artist statement, because it really, really well puts together what is my mission and how I work as an artist. So I believe that the art, as everything else in society, is an inherently political space. Therefore, I want to create artwork to affect positive change in our society. The power of art as a way to concretize abstractions allows it to illuminate, reconstruct, and reinvent our world. I am intersectional feminist, and it defines the body of my work as an artist. I see feminism as a philosophy which seeks to expand freedom for all people, regardless their ethnicity, gender, age, or economical background. As a feminist artist, my work actively challenges representations of gender, sexuality, race, and class. My endless interest in human beings, communities, and transformation can be seen in my work. I always produce my artwork together with people and communities with aesthetic interests and a critical eye on our social environment. I believe that change can happen when people are engaged and given the opportunity to experiences rather than keeping the audience in the distance. The reason I wanted to give you this short reading of my artist statement is that this really puts together how I see artwork. And I understand that there is a lot of people who might have an idea of art that is something that is very distant. It's in the museums and in the walls of galleries. And that's not the practice of my art. I always engage people into my work, and I really believe that art is a way of changing the world in different way. I know that there's other ways, of course, as well to create social impact, but I see that because I am an artist and I'm a creative and I'm a facilitator and coach, I believe that that's my way of trying to change the world. And I also want to kind of underline that even though I'm an intersectional feminist, like I said, it's equality and parity for all. So regardless of anybody's gender or race or ethnicity or economical background, I want to create a world that is a better place for all of us, not only for us women. So, and there we can also kind of jump into the values that guide my work. And I always want to talk about my values because I believe that when I'm aware of my own values, it's so much more easier to actually create strategies to ideate, even ideate what should I do and how I should do it. And then I can always check into my own values that is this aligned with the values that I really believe in. Because I also think that there is millions of different kinds of opportunities to operate in this world, and that's how I want to see the world. That I can do many things. I can do art, I can do coaching, I can do facilitation, I can work in a corporate reality. But as long as everything that I do is aligned with the values that I believe in. So my first value of my work is love, and it might sound a bit cheesy to everybody, but it really is. And in my work, it really comes down to creating a better world for everybody, not only for myself or women, but everybody who is somehow oppressed or feel that they are maybe discriminated some way, or even what's the word in English? Minoritized. So anybody who feels like somehow an outsider, I really want to create a better world. And it comes down to really creating a common ground with everybody. I know that this time that we are living right now is a time where we are media and politics are creating bigger and bigger and wider gaps between groups of people and ideologies. And with my work, I actually want to diminish that gap and bring people together and create common ground and understanding. And I strongly believe in forgiveness and understanding as an energy that we should put out to the world. I never have believed that hate or aggression is the energy that will bring, a better world to us. I believe that that if we can operate from a place of love, from understanding, we can create something much more beautiful than actually pushing things forward with aggression and hate. So that's where what the love really means to me. And then the other value that my work is based on is transformation. And like I said in my artist statement, I always work with people. So if I'm also a coach and a facilitator, I always, when I'm working with people, I really want that when they participate in my work as an artist or my projects, I really want to create transformation in these people. And in this way that I actually combine my artistic creative work with coaching and facilitation. So that in the work that I'm doing, I always, when I engage people, I'm using tools of coaching and facilitation as a way to actually create and expand people's mindsets and create growth and transformation. And my background is actually in art pedagogy, so I'm a pedagogue from my profession. So that's where my background comes from, and I'm very aware that the transformation is actually what pedagogy is about. When we're teaching people new skills or we're giving them new information, it's always because we want them to change somehow. First their thinking, and then their ways of operating. So that's how I also use my art as a way of I've never used the word teaching, but also as a way to give an opportunity for transformation and change. And my third value is freedom. And this is especially very, very dear to me because, like I said, I strongly believe that there is millions of ways for us to operate and do different things in our lives and in the world. And as an artist, I really want to keep my mindset very free because I know that there is artists who are very fixed with their medium, like the medium that they work with. You might be working with painting or with drawing. Me as an artist, I always change the mediums that I work with. I can work with performance. I can work with video. I've been working with drawings, installations, social art projects. So I have or photography. I always want to keep my mindset really open and free to actually think and evaluate in a deep way that what is actually the best way to convey an idea, because that's it really is about. I get an idea and then I need to convey that in a way to my audience and the people who I work with that they actually understand it. And I always choose the medium based upon the idea and how is that aligned with the idea and the ways that I want to convey it. But the freedom also means to me that I really want to keep my mind in check all the time, be aware that when I start to restrict myself or when I start to feel that the environment where I work with is restricting me in some ways, when I start to feel that I'm not free anymore to think or operate in the way that is aligned with my own values, it really arouses this strong will to fight for my freedom. And that's something that I've been aware of that since I was a small girl, that this freedom fighter is in me. And then the last one is social impact. Oh, and about the freedom, actually, I also want to say this, that as a coach and as a facilitator and artist, I also want to feel free to work in different contexts. That's also really important for me, that I'm free to move from different disciplines and from different areas of businesses, from different areas of professions to another one. And this has been a really huge asset for me. If I think that I've been able to work in the art world, but also in the corporate reality and the business world, it has been given me an opportunity to actually learn and take the best best things from each context that I've been working with. I've also been like a teacher in academia here in the Aalto University for 10 years, and that's also a whole nother universe of things. So that's also what the freedom means to me, that I'm able to move from different contexts to different places, and then take the best things from each context and then apply that into my own art practice or my work in general. And then the last one is social impact, and this is really dear to me as well. And it really just comes down to that I've already talked a lot about, that I really, with my work, I want to reach out to people, and I want to talk to people, and I want to talk to wider audiences. And I know that art it can be seen as something that is very elitistic, or elite, and that's something that I always trying to push myself away from. And that's why I want to work with people, because I think that there is so much opportunity in art practices to actually create change and make people understand things that they never even might have even thought about. And I think that social impact can be done in different ways, of course, like by engaging media or doing provocative ideas so that media even sees your work. And that's something that I always try to think, that is there any way that I can convey this idea in a way that it might be interesting to wider audiences than only to the people who usually go to galleries and museums. And then that's what comes down to my work being like socially impactful in a way that when I engage the people that I work with, of course, they create change in their own minds. And then, of course, they be spreading out the word to other people, but then also by media, like really talk about things that might be taboos or might be, difficult to even talk about. So social impact is something that's really deeply rooted into my work. So now I will start showcasing 4 of my projects. And like I said, I've been working for 15 years as an artist, and now I'll be showcasing like 4 of my projects, which is like this amount of the work that I really have done. But I think that these 4 examples give you a very good idea of what I'm talking about, or how I've been implementing all the ideas that I already talked to you about. And more than 10 years ago, I designed like a collection of underwear for women that had hair printed on them, and I then like titled them Hairy Underwear. And this whole project actually started from the idea, or from the actually that I was looking at that our social environment and the culture that I'm living in, that there is a huge pressure for us women to really, really like take a good look, take care of ourselves, and the beauty ideals that we are fed by the beauty industry are starting to be unrealistic. And more than 10 years ago, I remember there was times when, these beauty parlors, like Brazilian waxing beauty parlors, started to pop up in Helsinki city streets. And I was like, I'm already using like hours and tons of money on my face, and now I should be worried about how my lower parts of my body look like. And I was thinking that, is this really the reality that I really want to live in? That this pressure that we are supposed to look and operate in a certain way, and our bodies should be looking in a certain way, is this really the life that I want to live? And then I was thinking, I want to do something that would give a really like direct feminist statement on the idea that we as women should be able to feel good about in our bodies as the way that our bodies are at the moment, and not to like all the time be worried about how I look and how I should look. And so I designed these hairy underwear and started to sell them in small design markets and things like this. And then what happened was that they actually got a huge international media coverage, because this American blogger called Coco Perez all of a sudden found these designs, our underwear online, and linked them into his blog. And all of a sudden I had a demand. I had like the whole world asking for, where can I buy this? And I was like, okay. Then that was actually the beginning of also my entrepreneurship, like really. I started to actually produce hairy underwear and posted them all around the world, from Australia to Canada and places in between. And this was a really like a fast and a very peculiar and interesting way, kickoff to my entrepreneurship, to how to actually answer to a worldwide global demand on hairy underwear. And what was also funny was that the hairy underwear were covered in such a different medias. And when I was talking about social impact and talking about getting in touch with different audiences, not only the people who usually visit museums and galleries. Now we had media coverage from the Malaysian Men's Health. We had like hairy underwear in the Malaysian Men's Health, but also in the other end of the media, we've been covered in all different kinds of feministic media magazines in Europe. So I mean, there was like huge variety of different kinds of medias that were interested about the hairy underwear. And this was really, really interesting phenomena to me. And for 10 years, I sold this online, and it was a fun period. Not anymore, but this was a fun period of my life. Then next, I would like to talk to you about my project. Oh, maybe actually, Miran, you could now somehow maybe make a little recap of what I just talked about to your Spanish audience.
Yes, of course. La idea principal de Katriina Haikala es trabajar de una manera transformadora, que el arte sea transformador y de alguna manera sirva para transformar a la sociedad y también hacer del arte algo más de diario, que trascienda los públicos habituales de pues estas personas que habitualmente podamos ir a los museos o galerías, sino más bien ir a una audiencia mucho más amplia. Y para esto, pues lo que hace es trabajar con proyectos de alguna manera que son libres, que trabajan pues desde su propio trabajo de transformación y de valentía, trabaja también que las demás personas sean más valientes, pues para hacer un mundo más igualitario y más feliz para todas las personas.
Thank you. So then I would like to talk to you about another project of mine, which was called Monokini 2.0, Who Says You Need To. Monokini was originally designed by, it's a bathing suit designed by a German designer, and the whole idea of the original Monokini was a counter-strike to bikini. Like the idea was to liberate women so that we would only wear like the lower parts of the slip of the bikini. So that would be called the monokini. But this was 2014, if I remember, or 13. I got let me move this a bit so that you can see. So I got an email from a woman called Elina Halttunen, who was living at the moment in Norway. And she's originally born in Finland, but she was living in Norway as a researcher for a long time in northern parts of Norway. And she knew what kind of work I've been working with the female body ideals and the beauty ideals, and talking about the hairy underwear, but also I worked with had worked for many years with different kinds of performances and photography projects where I would like really investigate the beauty ideals of Western culture. And she sent me an email, said that, hello, I know your work and I'm really like empowered by the work that you do. I have a couple of problems. The first one is that I've been through breast cancer and mastectomy, and I'm a survivor. And and the problem that I have is that I really can't find any suitable bathing suits from stores, because all the bathing suits that are sold, they always have 2 cups in them, and I have 1 breast. And I don't want to go to the reconstruction operation. I want to continue my life as single-breasted. And I just can't find any suitable fitting bathing suits for myself. That was her first problem. The second problem that she introduced in the email was that that I also have a problem with the Norwegian media. At that moment, the year 2014, if I remember, or 13, there was really long queues to the reconstruction operations in Norway, which is a huge problem, because if you want to go to the reconstruction operation, you should really get there to get the operation as fast as possible. But her problem was that in the Norwegian media, when they were talking about the long queues, the media would say that women should get into this operation as fast as possible, because no woman can feel whole and beautiful with only one breast. And she was like, this is not true, because she had chosen to continue her life as single-breasted woman and felt whole and beautiful as the way that she was. And she was really annoyed by this way of putting down to the argument that women should go to the reconstruction operation because, you're not a woman if you don't have two breasts. And so she said that, is there anything that you could do about this? That this is really a problem to me. And then she also broke down some numbers to me and said that, and in case you didn't know, I'm not all by myself with this problem, that there's actually millions of women out there who suffer and who have gone through breast cancer and mastectomy. It's actually every 8th woman all globally go through breast cancer, and almost half of them continue their life breastless or single-breasted. So it's not only her, it's millions of women out there globally. And this was a very interesting problem to me, because I started to think about it, because I've been already working with the beauty ideas and the body ideas and how we are supposed to look like, and what is considered to be normal as what is normal, like female body. And it opened like a huge window to just like how the beauty industry, how even the fashion industry, how they try to normalize us, and how they try to put us into a box that this is how you should be. And if you're not like this, you're somehow unsuitable. And then we came up with this idea that, okay, we need to actually start to design bathing suits for women who are single-breasted or breastless. And then I engaged into this project, like different Finnish fashion designers and 10 women. And how we started to work on this was that we then actually put together the fashion designer and the woman who had gone through breast cancer and was single-breasted, and they were all designed like a unique bathing suit for their own body type. And this woman here in this picture is actually Elina, who was the initiator of the whole project. And when we started to work on this, we were thinking that in the end, as an end result, we will have 10 different photographs as a statement, like statement project, that, okay, we want to make a statement, say that women should feel beautiful the way that they are, no matter how many breasts they have, or if they have a breast in their forehead, you still should be, feel okay with yourself, not to say that you would feel somehow unsuitable or unfitted. So then what we found out that, because how we started to work was that then we invited like each of our models into studio, and we worked with each of our models for one day in the studio. And our first model was Sirpa, a woman in her 50s. And she came to the studio and she said that she's terrified of this. It's like, this is terrifying. Not to mention that I have only one breast, but now I should be a model in front of the camera, and I'm not a professional model, and this is terrifying. And then what happened during the day was that she started to feel very comfortable in her own skin. She started to feel that, okay, this is okay. I'm half naked in front of the camera, but I'm still okay with this. And this was very empowering. And then I realized that we're not only working with a statement art project, we're also working with a very empowering project by giving this experience to each woman who were coming into the studio and working in front of the camera, that, wow, okay, I'm actually pretty cool the way that I am. And I must say that the model who is here is Katja. Katja, who came to the studio, it was only 3 months after her mastectomy operation and her treatments, like chemotherapy and radiation, and she had lost her hair. She came to the studio wearing like a beautiful blonde wig, because that's the way that her hair used to be before the treatments. And she said that I really don't want to take my wig off, that I have lost my breast, but I have also lost my hair. And I really don't want to be in the picture without, the wig, because I feel uncomfortable. And I was like, cool, that's fine. Like, of course, like any way you feel comfortable is fine with me. And we worked together for the whole day. And in the end, she said that, maybe I could try to take the wig off. And she took the wig off, and then we took these pictures, and they look remarkable, like beautiful. And she was looking at the pictures, and it's like, I would never thought that I would look so good without my hair, that I'm actually so beautiful without the hair. And she left from the studio. She took the wig, put it in her bag, and walked out of the studio and said, I really don't need this anymore. And this is something that when I was talking about the art practices, that the practices of art and then combined with coaching and facilitation has so much opportunities to give this empowering experience to people when you actually experience something that can transform you in a second and make you feel better about yourself, make you feel having more agency, authority, just generally feeling much more empowered and good with yourself. And here's the third one. And then in the end, we had like 10 different photographs, 10 different bathing suits, and then 10 women modeling for us. And the first exhibition of this project opened here in Helsinki in our Finnish Museum of Photography. And at the same time, somebody, I still don't know who, but actually, because we had these pictures in our website, somebody had shared them in Reddit and in Imgur. And what happens is that the whole project went viral. And I have 2 months, I worked with the media globally, all around the world, gave writing press releases, but also giving was interviews to different media outlets from Latin America to Indian Times to Huffington Post to all kinds of media outlets. And it really showed me that also this single breastness or having no breasts at all was a huge taboo still in 2014. Where we got so much feedback from different women from different parts of the world saying that seeing and looking at these pictures gave me strength, because I have just been through the mastectomy and I felt like my life is falling apart. And now I see these pictures of these women and I feel that, I'm just perfect the way that I am. I don't need to feel sorry for myself. Of course, I can be sad for myself, but I don't need to stay and being sorry for myself, because life continues. And I also heard that in Denmark, in one hospital, they started to show our pictures to their patients that had been gone through mastectomy. But what was also interesting to me was that, or important to me in this project, was that when we started off, we were a little bit worried with my production team that how we will find these courageous women to actually come and model for the project, because it is a huge thing. If I think even myself that, somebody would ask like, hey, you want to put on a bikini and come in front of the camera, I would be like, no. That would be probably my first answer. Of course, then I was like, okay, I can think about it. But it's a big thing. And no, none of these women were professional models. And so what we did was that after taking the first photograph of this type of photograph that you're seeing here now, we put that in our social media outlets and said that, okay, we're working on a project and we were looking for women who would be willing and ready to model for this project. And what happened was that our inbox was full of women wanting to participate. And this was, for me, was like, boom, wow, I was never expecting this, because I was thinking that it would be too scary, too much of a risk for anybody. And then what we did was that we actually just took the first 10 ones. We did not do any type of curating. We did not, say that you need to be a certain age or a certain body type or a certain size or none of these things. So it was just the first 10 ones that were the first to send the email for us that I want to model for this project, and that's how then we went further. And the reason why we also took these photographs, the way that they look like a commercial picture, was that we really our initial idea was that we would want these pictures to be shown in billboards, on the city streets, like we see the H&M bikini posters. We wanted to actually show these pictures as like in our street view, so that if somebody who walks and looks at this picture, they would, oh, what a good looking person, and then after seeing that they would see like, oh, she's single-breasted, like that. Okay, there's something going on, and we also had women who were over in their 50s and like more mature women than she's in her 30s. But that was the whole idea, that we would create pictures that resemble the commercial culture of our fashion industry, but that would also have something like, oh, okay, something is not like it usually is. And we did this actually in Sweden, in northern Sweden, in collaboration with Anna Nordlander Museum. Together with them, we had these pictures in the city streets of Skellefteå, this small town in northern Sweden. And then in 2015, we arranged a charity catwalk show here in Helsinki in a really beautiful indoor pool, where we were fundraising money for the Cancer Association of Finland. And the way that we arranged the whole thing was that we called to the women who had been modeling for us in the project initially, and asked them, okay, now you've been in front of camera, how would you feel like walking in front of 700 people in the public space? And they were like, yes, there's no way that I would not want to be part of this fashion catwalk show. And we arranged it in a pool, and we had the catwalk under the water, so that it looked like that the women are walking on top of the water, and we had 700 people there looking at these empowered, fully feeling their autonomy, authority women walking on the catwalk. And it was really, really beautiful moment for me, because the whole atmosphere of the catwalk show was so embracing and supportive. And it was not about the outfits or the designs of the outfits. It was more about, it was like a celebration of courage. That's how I felt it. The people who came there as an audience, they were leaving from the event with teary eyes, and not because it was like a celebration of breast cancer. No, because they were so touched by the courage of these women walking on stage, feeling empowered, feeling like totally owning their own bodies and saying like, this is who I am, and I really want to show this to all of you, and I embrace who I am. And this was very, very empowering for the audience as well. We had synchronized swimmers, and we had live music, and we had a choir, and we had a massive show, and we were able to raise funds pretty nicely for the Cancer Association of Finland. I would actually like to show you a short video of this from this catwalk show, and I will put it on now. Just a moment. Here.
April buries the seed. April is full of hope. Yet I don't get to live up to it. I'm drafting. I'm myself in
And the last thing I want to say about this project is that what was very interesting for us that because we started off as a statement project for single-breasted women or breastless women to feel empowered and feel good about themselves. And then when we were arranging this catwalk show, we had a woman who had actually gone to the reconstruction operation, and she had her other breast was reconstructed, and she said to us in the telephone that, hey, I don't think that I can participate anymore because I have two breasts. I actually went to the reconstruction operation and I'm not single-breasted anymore. And we said that, it's not about that. It's not that we are now trying to create a norm of single-breastness. It's about actually saying that it doesn't matter how many breasts you have, like whether you have no breasts at all or you have two breasts or whatever the body type you have, you're perfect the way that you are. And we really want you to participate in this project anyway. So this was also interesting for us that we also created like a small universe of single-breasted women, and then somebody who had gone to the reconstruction operation felt like, okay, I'm not part of this group anymore. And then we had to really go through this conversation with her saying like, no, it's not about that. It's about, that you should be able to do your own choices and live the way that you really want to live your life. So maybe Miran, you can do a little recap of the project of this Monokini 2.0.
Bien, como decíamos, la idea principal es que Katriina Haikala escoge las herramientas de trabajo artístico según el propósito que quiere conseguir. Es decir, no se sujeta a una sola disciplina artística, sino que la disciplina artística se da pues en base a lo que quiera conseguir, y por eso es una artista que trabaja con diferentes tipos de herramientas, ¿no? Como puede ser el vídeo, la performance o otro tipo de fotografía, etcétera, ¿no? Entonces lo mezcla todo con el objetivo de lanzar el mensaje que desea. Y uno de los mensajes en los que ha trabajado ha sido, como habéis visto, el tema del Monokini 2.0, que es un proyecto que comienza con alguien que ha visto su trabajo, ha visto que trabaja con el cuerpo de las mujeres, con salirse de las normas o de las convenciones sociales, y a partir de ahí le propone cómo trabajar para diseñar un tipo de traje de baño que se adapte al cuerpo de mujeres que han sobrevivido al cáncer de mama y que no han tenido una reconstrucción y que necesitan de alguna manera entender que también están dentro de la norma, ¿no? Que no hay una norma y una manera de estar necesariamente estándar, sino que hay que abrir ese concepto, y de ahí empiezan a trabajar además de manera interdisciplinar y utilizando la herramienta de la comunicación, ¿no? Porque se comunican con diseñadoras en Finlandia para diseñar esos trajes de baño, le seleccionan a mujeres que han pasado la enfermedad para que trabajen conjuntamente y haya un bikini o de alguna manera un traje de baño por cada una de las mujeres, hechos solo para ella, ¿no? Y a partir de ahí surge un proyecto que luego se expande y se convierte pues también no solamente en una serie de publicaciones que intentan trabajar con el lenguaje de la publicidad, a adoptar ese lenguaje de la publicidad para de alguna manera hacerlo suyo y a partir de ahí lanzar otro tipo de mensaje, no tan estereotípico y para abrir la mente de la gente y llegar, como decía antes, a un público no iniciado en el arte, hablando pues también con el lenguaje del mass media. Y a partir de ahí también trabajan con otro proyecto para la Asociación de Cáncer en Finlandia, que es hacer un pase de modelos, que habéis visto las imágenes, con ni siquiera haciendo un casting, sino simplemente de todas las solicitudes recibidas, que fueron muchas más de las esperadas, escogieron las 10 primeras simplemente por orden de llegada para trabajar con ellas e intentar de alguna manera hacer ese proyecto juntas. Y bueno, pues la idea principal ha sido que no solamente es esa herramienta de realizar esas acciones, sino que a través de esas acciones se ha llevado a muchas mujeres a reconsiderar la manera en la que estaban viviendo su situación y de alguna manera ha motivado a muchas en diferentes formas y en diferentes momentos. Y eso es lo que Katriina Haikala nos comentaba con este proyecto, que tiene que ver con el anterior también que nos contaba, con que de alguna manera al final los medios de comunicación le han servido para hacer llegar ese mensaje y que además han tenido un éxito increíble en cuanto a difusión, y eso ha generado también, ha puesto en el debate público ciertas cuestiones que el arte, a través del arte han podido llegar y que quizás pues eran un tabú o no estaban del todo en el debate público o no de la manera que ella considera que tenían que estar.
Gracias, gracias, Miren. Okay, I will start sharing my screen again. Okay, so then I would like to move on to another project of mine, which is called the Lupta Femeler Women's Fight. And Lupta Femeler is actually Romanian language, and it means, in English, it means women's fight. And this project was initiated by women who have migrated from Eastern Europe, European countries, mostly from Romania to Finland. And these women are the women who are here. I don't know if you have the same situation in Spain, but or in Bilbao, but here in Helsinki, there's a lot of Eastern European women and people in general who have been migrating to Finland to actually gain more economical power or economical status, or like improving their economical status here in Finland. And most of them, these women who I worked with, are the women who have been begging money on the city corners here in Helsinki. And the whole project actually started from their initiation, that there is this center here in Helsinki that works with the mobile people of Europe, and this is kind of like day center where a mobile person who might have migrated from Eastern Europe or any other European countries, they can go and have their lunch and make some coffee, maybe do some laundry. It's a safe space for mobile people. And there was a group of women of seven women who wanted to do an art project. They had an idea that they would like to do something together with an artist to actually convey more to the Finnish public, to Finnish people, about their lives and why they are here in Finland, and because they actually felt that they are totally misunderstood and seen in a very, very bad light. There's a lot of racism here in Finland. There's a lot of sexism here in Finland. There's a lot of xenophobia here in Finland. And I think that mobile people in general, and especially Roma people, they face all kinds of gender and ethnic biases anywhere they go. And these women are Roma, so they felt that they are seen in a very, very bad light and seen as criminals, even they were not. So they had a contact person from the center, from the day center that they had their daily coffees in, contacted me and my producer Anna Miettinen, and they said that would we like to collaborate with them and do an art project. And then we facilitated our first workshop in autumn 2018 in September. And the way that the whole process went, that I actually used a lot of my facilitation tools in this whole project, because actually came out was that I really wanted, I did not want to make the project in a way that I say what we're doing, like what we should be doing. It was more about me asking this group of women who were the initiators that, what do you feel like you would actually want to do? What is the message that you feel like you would like to convey? And then I can help you to actually convey that message, to put it in a package where you feel like you've been heard and you can be even more heard by the rest of the society. And then we workshopped every other week during the whole like half a year that we worked together. We worked a lot with different kinds of empowerment tools. Half of the women who I worked with are illiterate, and so they can't read or write. So we used a lot of like drawing and talking and, you know, mimicking things and like how they see that their life is at the moment, what they would like it to be, what are their dreams, and how they even like see themselves, like how they evaluate themselves or how they value themselves. So there would be a lot of discussions about with these women that like things like, what do I really love? What is really important to me? What do I want from life? How empowered do I feel? How much do I feel that I have authority and autonomy in my life? What are the things that I would like to change? I remember one very specific question that I asked like that was this, that if you would have a megaphone and you would be standing in the parliament, on the stairs of the parliament house of Finland, what would be shouting to the megaphone? Like, what are the things that you would really like to tell to the rest of the world? And so I would be writing down these things that they would tell. And then from this whole like process of half a year talking and discussing about things, I would actually do a script writing for a video work. And then also they said that they would like to be photographed. They would like to they would want me to actually create portraits of them. And next to these portraits, there would be also their stories. So then how it in the end came out that I took portraits of them. And this was even like very empowering for them because nobody ever really took photographs of them. And me even just putting a little bit of powder in their face and maybe just a tiny bit of mascara and brushing and combing their hair and, you know, making them feel like that I am here for you and you are wonderful was a very, very empowering experience, because these are women who normally feel like nobody really sees them because they sit in the city corners begging money with a cup. And now they are like in front and in center of the like my attention, and the camera is there, and, you know, they are like the most important in this universe at this moment. So even that was a really, really empowering experience. So I photographed them, and then during these workshops, we created the script right for the video that then told their story. That the story was told actually in this 15-minute long short documentary art film combination of everything. And then what also we did was that we donated cameras to these women, and they photographed themselves, their own lives. And they would photograph everything that they experienced in their life during a long period of time. And of course, my production team and me, we teach them about photography, like things like, if you have a camera and you want to say something, you need to think, what do you actually choose? Like, what do you want to show? So we would really talk about visuals and what are the things that you really want to say with your picture. So here, for example, is Jonika's pictures, and here she's actually selling magazines in front of Helsinki main railway station. Then there is pictures from the day center where the men are sleeping, and mostly in this community of these women are it's a very patriarchal society. Roma culture is very patriarchal, so they are oppressed in their own culture, in their own community, but also by the Finnish society. So then there's also pictures from the night shelter where they would sleep, and, you know, things like this. But we had hundreds and hundreds of pictures that these women took of themselves. And this whole project has been exhibited in different museums here in Helsinki, and then these women's pictures are also exhibited there. But this was like a very good example of a project where I'm collaborating with women and empowering them by using my coaching and facilitation tools, but also my artistic skills to take photographs of them and putting all that together into a combination of like telling stories of people who never feel like their stories have been told in a way that they would really like to be heard. And this is what my work is a lot about, also telling the stories that have never been heard, or giving voice to people who feel like they don't have a voice in our society. And as a privileged Finnish white woman and an artist who have carved a career, I have a space. I have a certain space to actually do things. And these 7 women didn't have the space to actually operate in this society. So I would give my space to these women to actually tell their stories. And this is something, if I talk about empowerment, I feel that we people who have privileges like me, I think, born into Finland is already a privilege. Having a Finnish passport is a privilege. Being white is a privilege. And I feel that, whenever we have privileges, we can give those privileges or that space we have in the society to those people who don't necessarily have that. And I would also like to show a short bit. I'm not going to show the whole 15-minute video, but I'm going to show you a short teaser that is 2 minutes long of this project where Maria Galdarar, who is in this picture now, is talking about 3 things, because the video the longer video that I directed and script wrote together with these women is about actually their history and their present life and their future. They would be talking in this video about what are the reasons that they actually are now here in Finland, how life has been. And then they're talking about their present life in Finland. How is it now here in Finland? What's life like? But then at last, they were all talking about what kind of dreams do they have, how they would like to have their life be. I would ask them questions like, if you could have anything in the world, like how would you like to imagine your life to be in future? And so then this whole video was was constructed around these three layers or 3 dimensions. But the video that I'm going to show you now is a teaser, and in this video Maria Galdarar is talking about 3 things, which is love. What does love mean to her? What does life mean to her, if I would ask her? So tell me about life. And then hate. What does hate mean to her? So I'm going to show you that now.
Din nou, wow. Pot să spun că nu am fost căsătorită din dragoste. Nu știu ce înseamnă dragostea fizică dintre un bărbat și femeie. Nu știu ce înseamnă asta. Decât dragostea față de copii, față de o soră, față de un frate, da? Dragostea fizică dintre un bărbat și o femeie, nu știu. Ca să te urăști cu cineva sau nu știu cum să spun, dar este un lucru foarte urât ca să urăști pe cineva sau să fii urât de cineva. Da, uneori mai urăsc și eu pe câte cineva așa, nu știu, dar când văd că are răutate sau așa, oamenii care sunt răi, îi urăsc. Deci un lucru frumos, foarte frumos. E viața. Cu bune, cu rele, trebuie să trecem și să definim, și cum am spus, și rău de bine, și binele de rău, și asta e viața. cu visuri, cu probleme, cu... Viața este frumoasă.
Yes, so that was a short teaser of the video. I want to say about this project, with this specific project, was that the challenges that we had was that none of these women really spoke any other language than Romanian, so we always had a translator with us. But then that was like the first challenge that we had. But then we realized that we talk so much of the same language, even though we really don't talk the same language. And we became really good friends. And to me, like in every project that I do, is that I start from somewhere. Like this is my initial idea. And then the whole project grows. Like it goes into a totally different universes and spaces where I realized that this is about so much more than just what I started from. And I realized this with this project, even that just having friends, of course, I'm an international artist, so I have a lot of friends all around the world, but I mean like still going in, taking a deep dive into somebody else's culture, understanding the places where these women come from. They're coming from very, very rough places. They all have had 5 children already when they're age of 15. Most of them were stolen from their parents and they were put into a marriage with somebody they really didn't want to even be with. Like their stories are so harsh, and even like understanding that in this society we have many like different types of people with so many different backgrounds living, and understanding that we need to understand that not everybody has the same opportunities in life, and that's why we need to give space to those who necessarily don't have that. And to me, this like the racism and the xenophobia that Roma women here in Finland have to face was like became so obvious, like with this one incident that happened with me. That's one of these ladies, Gabriela, was actually begging in the railway station of Helsinki, and I was going to the train myself, and I saw Gabriela there, and I'm like, hey, hello, how are you? And we hug and we kiss, and I sit there together with her and we talk, how are you? And like with my little Romanian language that I now know, and her with her small English and Finnish. We're trying to have an exchange, but because we have so little words, then it becomes very physical. We're basically just kissing and hugging there, because we want to, say that I love you and I you're my friend. And when I leave from this situation, I run for my train. A Finnish person runs after me and stops me, like pulls me from my hand and says, what just happened here? And why are you hugging this person? And I'm like, well, she's my friend. And he's like, how can this person be your friend? And I'm like, well, I worked with her. And that's like, really? You worked like, so it really, this whole incident of how other people are seen by other people, like this minoritized, discriminated group of people, how are they seen, and how they, the place that the rest of the society would like to keep them. And if a person who looks like me and talks like me is all of a sudden interacting with a person who is begging money in the railway station, it's like a syntax error for so many people. There's like, no, these two things just don't belong together. And that type of situation have been very eyes-opening to me. Of course, I've always been aware of the discrimination that happens in our society, but really like being part of that and seeing that is a very eyes-opening experience. So maybe you want to, Miren, recap a bit about this project.
Bien, como habéis podido ver, este proyecto nace de un centro de día de atención a personas migradas en el que unas mujeres de Rumanía que normalmente suelen estar trabajando en la calle, pidiendo dinero en la calle, ellas querían hacer juntas un proyecto artístico. Entonces, se pusieron en contacto con Katriina Haikala y juntas crearon un proyecto. Porque, Katriina en ese caso lo que hizo fue utilizar sus competencias como facilitadora para no tener un objetivo concreto al que llegar, sino más bien irlo construyendo con ellas y además haciéndolo pues con sus propias herramientas, con las propias oportunidades que ofrecía el grupo, ¿no? Pues utilizando una metodología para ver qué es lo que querían hacer, y al fin y al cabo lo que surgió fue la idea de realizar fotografías con ellas y bueno, pues para hablar también, a partir de ahí surgió un proyecto también para hablar en una creación audiovisual, para hablar sobre cuestiones tan básicas como el amor, el odio, la vida, y que eran sus sueños, los sueños de estas mujeres rumanas de etnia gitana que han sido discriminadas y son discriminadas muchas veces en Finlandia por que, bueno, pues como comenta Katriina, pues existe una discriminación múltiple ahí, y cómo, bueno, pues el proyecto se trató de visibilizar y ponerlas en protagonismo, o sea, darles el protagonismo a ellas que normalmente son invisibilizadas o obviadas en la sociedad, darles el protagonismo y darles la presencia, siendo ellas las que son el centro de atención en ese momento para esa fotografía. Y a partir de ahí surge un proyecto que ha sido exhibido en distintos museos en Finlandia, en los que ellas bueno, pues hablan de diferentes cuestiones que les preocupan, les importan, y se habla también pues sobre la vida y sobre el futuro, sobre el pasado, sobre el presente y sobre el futuro. De ahí lo que se está poniendo también es la visibilización de estas mujeres, poner también esto, ¿no? De alguna manera toda esa situación que ellas viven, darles una nueva relevancia y una nueva visibilización. Y ahí Katriina habla sobre ofrecer el espacio a ellas, un espacio que ella tiene por los propios privilegios de haber nacido en Finlandia, de tener pasaporte finlandés y de ser blanca. Entonces ella, de alguna manera, ese espacio de exhibición que tiene para los museos y como artista contemporánea que es, ella lo ofrece para estas mujeres, no solamente en fotografías que hace ella, o sea, que hace Katriina Haikala, sino además de alguna manera forman a estas mujeres, a estas 7 mujeres, para que sean ellas mismas las que hacen un diario de sus fotografías, y para eso las forman, para que de alguna manera puedan tener incorporado ese idioma audiovisual o a la hora de ese ojo fotográfico a la hora de contar lo que quieren contar. Y bueno, pues al fin y al cabo Haikala lo que hace es dar voz a esas mujeres y dar presencia y hacerlas visibles. En este proyecto, una de las cuestiones que me parece interesante a remarcar en esto de la estrategia en la incertidumbre es que el proyecto inicia de una manera, pero luego se va creciendo y va incorporando a diferentes personas, y de ahí se van creando nuevas realidades que quizás no eran el sentido original, pero que es mucho más grande y mucho más rico. Y esa es una de las cosas que nos transmite Katriina.
Gracias, Miren. Okay, and then I will move into the last project that I'll be talking about. And this project is called the social portrait, where I'm actually drawing 1,000 portraits of women only. And this project actually started from a notion that the history of art is also history of power. And if we look at the history of art, we can actually really easily see that it really is history of power. When we walk into the art museums or to galleries, there's always somebody who has chosen the art that is exhibited, but also there's people who have been funding or mecenating the art that is exhibited. And if we look at the history of portraiture, specifically, we can see that all the portraits are always done of people who have power in society, who are influential in our society, who are rich or they have political power. And from this notion, I started to look at what is the balance, in the history of portraiture. And we can see that there's a lot of portraits of women, but usually us women, we are depicted as nudes in divans, and men, if we walk into the museums or we walk into city halls or we walk into the places of power like Parliament House, there's always men hanging on the wall, like pictures of men hanging on the walls. And if we look at this inequality in the portraiture, we can see that there's so many portraits of men of power and not so many of women in power. And then I started to think like how I can actually balance and equalize this historical inequality. And I decided to start to draw 1,000 portraits of women all around the world. And the reason why I'm doing this is to really equalize the historical imbalance or inequality, and it's not so much about the portraits itself. It's more about the expression and the experience of the whole idea to how to equalize the history of power and the history of art. I've been now working with this project since the last 3 years, and I've been traveling all around the world, from Tokyo to West Africa, Benin, to London, to Italy, Rome, in many places in Helsinki and in Finland. And I always draw women in the context of art, meaning that in the context of art history. And here is actually a very good photograph. This is from Tampere Art Museum from here in Finland, where I'm drawing a person in museum in front of this male narrative behind it. And this is how art of history can be looked at, that we can really start looking at the art world and the history of art, like who is telling the stories and whose story is really being told. And I'm always drawing these portraits in the way that I'm not actually looking at the paper at all. I'm only looking at the woman who is sitting in front of me, like very intensely. And I'm always drawing 2 portraits of each of my models, and then they can choose the other portrait for themselves, and the other one stays with me. And because I'm drawing in the way that I'm not looking at the paper at all, they actually come out something that I can't even, I don't know. It's a surprise for me either, because I'm not looking at the paper. I'm just looking at the model all the time. And the reason why I'm doing this with this technique is that I'm underlying the experience of making the person sitting in front of me being seen. Because if we think about the idea of portrait, the idea of a portrait is actually to make somebody seen in our society. It's actually like making you, the person who is depicted in the picture, making that person seen by the contemporary people, but also for the future generations. So by not looking at the paper at all and just looking at the person sitting in front of me, I'm really just emphasizing and underlining the idea of portraiture, that I'm really making you seen and I see you at this moment. And I'm always, like I said, I'm drawing 2 portraits. And the reason why I'm doing this is that, I have 2 reasons. The first reason is that I always want to thank the person who is coming and being drawn by me, like taking the time to actually travel to the art museum, queuing for her turn. So I wanted just, as a thank you, give something to also like that you've been contributing so much to me, which means your time, that I want to contribute something to you. The other reason is that because I'm not actually choosing the portraits that the model can take and the portrait that stays with me, it's like her choice. Is that I want to empower and give her the autonomy and the authority and the agency to choose for herself. So it's not my choice, it's your choice. Like, which one do you like better? You can take home with you. And it has every place I have traveled with this project, it has always like opened new dimensions to me. Here I am actually in Tokyo in the Spiral Art Center. I was there for 2 weeks. And I drew every day for 4 hours. I drew women who were, there was always a queue waiting for, like, that they wanted to model for me. And during these 2 weeks, I drew almost 300 women, which means that almost 600 portraits in total, because I always draw 2. And for example, just to give you an example, that here in Tokyo, what happened was that I realized that there was much more trans women modeling for me than in any other place. And I usually ask the people who are sitting in front of me, I ask, like, so what made you come here today? What is your reason to be here? And I got some really interesting answers. I remember one person specifically telling me, that a trans woman saying to me, that I came here today to be drawn by you because I want to be seen. I want the rest of the society also see me. It's not only you as an artist seeing me, but now that I'm sitting here in front of this audience, nobody can deny my existence because I am here. Even this society and this is culture of mine don't want to see me because I'm a troublemaker, because I don't fit into the norm, because I'm a trans woman. They don't want to kind of see me. Now that I'm here, they can't deny my existence. And this was huge for me. I never even thought of this type of dimension that could come into this project. And now that I've drawn a bit over 800 women all around the world, I have had so many different types of feedback, but mostly it has been about making a person seen and giving the experience to these women that they've really been seen. And it has been really like surprising to me that so many women say to me that I never been looked at like this before. Like nobody really looked at me like with this very gentle, warm, judgmental, non-assessing way. And when I think of that, it really comes down to like how much we as women are, and this was actually specifically in Rome, where I was for a week in Fondazione Volume. I was drawing there, and so many women said to me that this was such a liberating experience for being looked at in a way that nobody's really judging you. And I talked about this with some of the women, and they said that because I'm every time I walk in the city streets, I'm looked at, I'm assessed at, my appearance is commented at, I'm being, catcalled at, and like being just looked at in a way that it's very embracing and accepting can be a very, very liberating experience. So at the moment I have, like I said, I have drawn like 800 women, and at the moment I feel that I will probably never stop. I don't think that I will stop into like when I have drawn 1,000 portraits. I probably will, this will be my life work, and I think that I will continue as long as I find this meaningful and I feel that my audience is finding this meaningful. Because like it's such a small thing to draw a portrait of somebody, but then from that really small thing, it can really like grow into a whole nother level where I'm actually having a conversation with the history, how as women we've been seen in the history of art, but also how we are seen at this moment in our society. And what happened last spring, this is actually from Tokyo, but what happened in last spring was that after the COVID-19 pandemic started, all the museums were closed. And I was thinking that, okay, now that I can't really be in museums anymore, and this has been a very important part of this project has been that I've been in the context of art, where also the audience has been there looking at at this act or at this performance of drawing. And because it also actually has been really interesting, because then when women are queuing waiting for their turn to be drawn, they kind of occupy the art museum as well, because there is always like this mass of women, having their conversation about their daily lives and, waiting for their turn. And then they actually take over the space in art museum. And I'm like, yes. But then when art museums were closed, I had to figure out ways how to reach out to my audience and how to continue this project, because I didn't want to quit. I didn't want to stop there. And I had to find ways where I could, how I could draw and continue without the art context or the art museums. So then I actually took my project online, and I put on my social media channels that I'm actually doing this now online. And, anybody who would like to model for me is free to attend. And then I would have these one-on-one sessions online where I would draw women online, and we would have like these 30-minute sessions, because in art museums, when I draw one model, it takes me like about 10 to 15 minutes. But then in these one-on-one sessions, it would take me like 30 minutes, because then I would also coach each of my models a bit. And it turned out that during the springtime when there was a lockdown in here in Finland. And I would also actually draw people in from Spain and also from London, because now that this was online, I could do this here from Helsinki and draw women who are scattered around the world. But what I realized that so many women said that, you know, this has been such a meaningful, like small moment during this pandemic and this lockdown, that, you know, just having a meaningful interaction, like feeling that you're seen in your own home, and then also that I would like, you know, do these coaching questions about how you see that your life will be and things like this, that they became really meaningful moments for us. And then what happened is that also a museum from Tokyo asked me to arrange like social portrait clubs with Japanese women. And so then last spring I would also arrange these social portrait clubs where we would have regular meetings with Japanese women who would come online, and I would prepare topics about the situation of women in Japan and how they feel like how is equality manifesting in how is equality or situation with equality in the Japanese society. And I would draw them, and then they would also discuss, and I would have a Japanese translator and a facilitator to help me out with this. And these were super successful, and it was so like interesting for me too, that we are all in our homes, you know, all around the world, and we're discussing the same topics that actually put us together. And it was so easy to find common ground and understanding that these things that I'm talking about with my work are also very meaningful and accurate to women all around the world. So that's my presentation, and I want to thank you everybody for listening. And I know that Miren has some questions for me, and maybe you also want to recap a bit my last project for the audience.
Thank you. Bien, realmente la última intervención es bastante visual, se cuenta por sí misma. Esta intervención de dibujar sin mirar a 1000 mujeres, pero ella ya está comentando que no va a parar nunca de dibujar a todas estas mujeres, no va a parar nunca porque es su proyecto artístico vital, de alguna manera. Ahí hay una cuestión a comentar dentro de todo esto. Voy a hacerle ahora un par de preguntas. Sobre todo es de cara a pensar qué pueden las emprendedoras aprender del modo de hacer en el arte. What can we were talking about art, and you are also yourself an entrepreneur. What can an entrepreneur learn from an artist? Which things can learn from this process of creating and doing in the way you do?
Well, I think that because I am an entrepreneur as well, so what I feel that what I don't know how it's in Spain, but I assume that everywhere we go, artists are always like trying to figure out how to make a living. You know, that's like the basic problem with artists. Like, okay, where can I find the money to do the work that I really love? And I think that that's, of course, this entrepreneurship is also about to being creative, to how can you actually create business for yourself. And that's what I'm doing as an artist. And that's something that an entrepreneur can also learn from an artist mindset, that taking risks or doing, you know, trying out different things and like not only sticking with one idea, doing many things at the same time and trying things that you would never think that you could even try can be super successful, can be also something that, okay, nobody ever thought about that, but now you thought about it and you had the courage to actually also do it, like really execute it. So I think that that's what entrepreneurship and an artistry is really about, is to taking risks, you know, doing things that nobody else has done before, going to places that nobody else had ever had the courage to go, putting things together that nobody ever imagined that you could put things together, like, and create new ideas. And that's, I think that it's very similar with these two professions or two different disciplines, or artistry, or being an artist and an entrepreneur. Definitely creativity, that's the answer in short.
Thank you, thank you. Otra pregunta va sobre el 2021, sobre, bueno, en este 2021 que está ahora por construirse, pensar en un plan, en hacerse un plan estratégico para este año o en este año que no se sabe muy bien cómo va a ir. Si la vida es incertidumbre, pues este año también. How do you focus on 2021 to make plans, to make a strategy in uncertainty?
Well, as an artist and as an entrepreneur, I've already, because I've been working as independent artist and entrepreneur for 15 years, so I have already learned that actually 2021 is already planned in 2019. So that's how I usually work. My calendar is always like 2 years ahead of me, always. So now I already have, like last year I had my 2021 kind of like, okay, this is how it's going to look like. I will have an exhibition here, and then I will be doing coaching here, and then I will have these and these clients, and then I will have another exhibition there. That's the plan A. But then you always need to have a plan B. You know, just like last year, we know that not always, necessarily never, it goes like the plan A is. And that's something that even without the pandemic, we already know that life is very uncertain. So there always has to be a plan B. There has to be like, okay, what if this doesn't work? What I will do then? And sometimes the plan B is also created in a moment like this. You know, okay, plan A is not working. Plan B has to be created. So I have already like created the strategy for this year, and then I know that what I will be doing. But then there's questions of like, how do I find funding for this? Where do I find the money for doing this? And that's also something that I think that we all, whatever we would be doing, but if we really want to do what we love and like and want to do, then first you think like what you want to do, and then you find the way to do it. So that's the way that I plan. I always plan things that, okay, these are the things that I would like to do. I do not necessarily have the ways that I will make it happen, but I will put this in my calendar, and this is something that I want to do. And then I have a year, or sometimes I even have 2 years to figure out the way to really make it happen.
Thank you. Very inspiring. Muchísimas gracias. I would like to thank you for your participation. And I think it was very empowering, very inspiring. And I think you give us some clues that are important for us. Thank you very much, Katriina.
Thank you so much for inviting me, and this was an honor. I wish you all a very, very, very nice year 2021. Let's make it great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Muchísimas gracias. Con la ponencia de Katriina Haikala ya tenemos los 3 días de la jornada INNpower Helsinki-Bizkaia y bueno, ha sido un placer escucharlas. Tenemos aquí a Itziar Zubizarreta, de la Diputación Foral de Bizkaia, jefa del Servicio de Promoción Empresarial de Diputación Foral de Bizkaia, para que nos haga el cierre de este evento que ha durado 3 días y que, del cual hemos extraído muchísimas ideas y muchas formas de ver distintas que siempre son de ayuda.
Muy bien, pues bueno, espero que con el desarrollo de estas jornadas sobre estrategias en la incertidumbre, pues hayamos podido conseguir en alguna medida, alguno de los objetivos que habíamos explicado al inicio de las jornadas, ¿no? Que era un poco conocer nuevas ideas y perspectivas que nos permitan reflexionar sobre nuestra estrategia empresarial, fortalecer nuestras competencias en estos tiempos de incertidumbre. También llevarnos alguna herramienta que permita aplicar lo aprendido en una realidad concreta de nuestros negocios y que permita su sostenibilidad. También empoderarnos y si se han podido generar alguna pequeña red y sinergia entre nosotros, pues también bienvenida sea. La Diputación Foral de Bizkaia está comprometida con todas vosotras, emprendedoras y empresarias, ya que sois una pieza clave para contribuir al desarrollo económico y social de Bizkaia. Quería dar las gracias a emakume por la organización de las jornadas, a Isabel, a Hans, a Titi Estil y a Katriina Haikala por compartir con nosotras sus experiencias y sus conocimientos. Y sobre todo, y lo más importante, gracias a todas vosotras por participar en estas jornadas y también por vuestro buen hacer diario como empresarias y emprendedoras. Quiero desearos mucho ánimo y muchas fuerzas para el año 2021 porque realmente lo vamos a necesitar todas. Y sin nada más, cerramos estas jornadas, damos por clausuradas y eskerrik asko denoi.